Good morning. It's good morning here. It's about 7 a.m. here in Sydney. I'm still waking up. Who do we have? We have a few people online. This is my second live stream. I really enjoyed doing the first one and I thought, oh, I want to do more of these. These are fun. So, well, what I thought I would do is I'll just give you, I'm just still getting my head around things. It's, yeah, as I said, it's 7 a.m. here. And so it's really the first time I've kind of been back on since the flooding. So I just wanted to give you a good morning, Michelle. Good morning, sunshine. You're here. Thank you. So it's the first time I've kind of been back on since the floods here in Australia. The recovery effort is still very much underway here. We've kind of gone through that first phase of the initial kind of, first recovery stage where it's kind of getting all the water out. Morning, Mike. Hi. And then moving into the kind of next stage of the situation, which is getting people housing. There's a lot of homeless people here. Good morning, Brian. Thank you for joining me. And then like getting people organized. So it's kind of moving into that more organized stage of recovery. So I think I explained on one of the posts that I had filmed a bunch of videos prior to the floods, but then the internet went down across the whole region. So no one here had internet for about a week, which was really crazy. I've never experienced that since I think that we've had the internet, because our whole world is governed by the internet these days. So we weren't able to access cash, we weren't able to buy fuel, we weren't able to get food. Like it was really weird because we've been kind of conditioned to be living in this technological age, and then all of a sudden nobody across the board had internet, and so all of a sudden we're back to a cash system, but then you couldn't get cash and there was no phone service, so you couldn't call, so you had to go over to people's houses to check on. Like it was like living in a bit of a time warp. um, and what was really interesting about being in that, so I had those videos filmed, but I wasn't able to upload them until the internet came on like a week later. So the videos that are playing now were recorded prior to the flood. So I still haven't actually recorded new videos since then, which I'm going to be doing this week, and then uploading them, and they'll be coming up in a few weeks. But during that week where I didn't have any internet, I wasn't able to get on here, I wasn't able to connect with anybody. It was a very interesting time for me to go and really put these teachings, put the law of assumption into practice. And I want to do a video on this because I learned so much during that whole process, because it is in these times where reality shows up, where those are the times for law of assumption, for all of the work that you've been doing, all the study you've been doing, the listening to the videos that you're doing, like all of this that's the time to really put these teachings to work. And it was a very interesting time for me. I've spent the last year and a half really studying Neville, listening to Neville. I haven't read another book. I haven't listened to another audio program. I've literally only been embedding myself with law of assumption. So when this happened, it was like, okay, cool. Now the rubber meets the road. This is the time to put this stuff into action. And it took a few days because I was so governed by my 3D. My 3D was so full on that I was very much in the 3D. And I was also aware at the same time going, okay, I know at some point I'm going to have to take a step back from my 3D and get some perspective on this, because I was so in the 3D and so kind of governed by my senses, because people were in survival. That's what happens when you're in a situation like that. So yeah, I want to do a lot more about that. But during that week where I didn't have internet and I wasn't able to get on, it really gave me the space and the time to work out, what do I want to do with this channel? What do I want to do with my work? What do I want to do with my life? It was really an opportunity for me to get real with myself. And it helped me to really get clear that this is what I want to be doing. I want to be doing more of this work, more of the coaching, more of these videos, more. I think the really big thing that came out of it was the sense of community. We came together as a community, and it was the community that came together for everybody else. The government actually wasn't really, I don't know what was going on there, but it basically, all of the rescues, all of the initial recoveries were done by the community. So the people, everybody pitched in. And that really came out strongly, that community is everything, especially in this day and age. Like, we are very much, I think COVID has kind of separated us, and then something like this brings us all back together. And so I really, there's so much that I'm still processing and that I want to share on these videos, but it really helped me to just realize that this is what I want to be doing. I'm even more focused than I was, because I started making these videos back in October. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have anything. Like, I just was like, oh, I think I'm going to make a video. I really love the law of assumption, and it's really powerful stuff, and I'm just going to start sharing it. So that's what I did. And then this last week, with the flooding, that just helped me really kind of just get very clear on what my vision is and what I want to be doing and what my path is, what my purpose is. And I feel like this is kind of what I've been training for all my life, with just the work that I've done with the corporate training, the presenting, my own therapy, my own personal development, the writing of the books. Like, kind of everything feels like it's culminating into this. So I kind of, there's a few things that I just want to share with you that I'm going to be sharing in the next few weeks. I've set up a Patreon page, which, again, there's no obligation for anything. It's like everything will be free, like all of these videos and everything. But I just wanted to set things up for me so that, this can be something that I can do ongoing. So I've set up a Patreon page. I'm still working on getting set up. I've also opened up the email coaching, like the quick coaching, for those who just they've got a situation that they're dealing with and they just want a quick bit of help, but they don't want a full coaching session. So I've set that up, and I'll explain a bit more about that in the coming days. And what else? What else have I done? I think I've written out a format for a book. I'm going to write another book, which I didn't think I was going to be doing for a while. So that'll take a while. And then I want to do a course on You Are the One, and actually bring this stuff together and actually deliver it in a way that I feel that is kind of like what I've done in mine, and then put it into a structure that people can go and do in their own time. So I've got lots that I'm working on, and it's very exciting. And I want to do more of these live streams because these are so great. So that's kind of what's going on. That's a little bit about where I'm at. And so I just want to say hi. Thank you all for being here. This is so great. Who do we have? And do you have any questions about the law of assumption? Anything that you want to ask? Anything at all? Please feel free to just write a little question in the comments. Who we got? So glad you're safe and well. Thank you so much, TMCL. Yeah, the lack of internet. Yeah, that was interesting. From everything from a reality perspective that was happening during the floods it was law of assumption in action. And when you're in reality and you're kind of governed by reality, it's really difficult to take that step back. But I knew that that's what I had to do. And a few days after, when everyone was kind of, when I was able to create some space for myself, because I was very much in the recovery efforts with everybody else, I was able to kind of go, what's going on here? Like, where's this coming from? And it inspired me to, because I'm not religious at all. So I would never have been religious. I have nothing against religion, but it just didn't appeal to me. But since rediscovering law of assumption with Neville Goddard, I've just gone back to just looking at the Bible again, from that metaphysical perspective. And I started reading Genesis because it takes a little bit to get, like, it's to not read it literally. You have to look at it from that metaphysical perspective. And I realized that I had read up until the point in Genesis where they tell the story of the great flood. And I was just like, whoa, that's kind of not a coincidence, because Neville Goddard talks about how the Bible is everybody's autobiography. That is your internal story. It is happening to every single one of us, and it is all happening within us. And I just thought that was fascinating, that I had got up to that point where the flood hits and there's Noah's Ark, and then to experience that in my reality. And like, people were canoeing down the end of my street. It was wild. It was like my reality was, it was like being in a movie, watching a movie that was my movie, and then going, okay, what's my part in this movie? How is this created? And when the internet was off, I was also coming towards that as what's coming within me that is showing up as the internet, as not being able to have internet. And I was able to, once I wrote like a 10-page vision for what I wanted my life to look like. And as soon as I did that vision, the internet came back on. It wasn't supposed to come back on for another week. So it came back on as soon as like like half an hour or an hour after I did this 12-page vision on my life and what I want my life to look like. I was like, oh my God, we are in relationship with reality. It is not happening to us. It is happening within us, and it is then getting projected out. And it's just, it's awesome. Okay, so we have a question here. Mike, hi Mike. Can I revise a situation to the point where screenshots, memories, etc., don't exist anymore? Absolutely. I have done that. And I've done it with some really traumatic memories, because Neville will say anything that has happened that's unfavorable in your reality, you have to revise it. And when I came into these teachings, I really bypassed revision because I was just like, I just want to create a new future. I've done so much therapy. I've done so much like working with my past that I was like, I don't even want to deal with that. But I had never revised my past, and my past. So what Neville says is your past, if you haven't revised it, will continue to be active in consciousness. And that's what this is about. This is all about consciousness. So if you have something in your past that's unfavorable, that consciousness is still active. And what happens, there's no time, there's no past or future, all time is happening now. So that state of consciousness, if it's still running, will still get pushed out and reflected back. So you really want to go back and revise any situations from your past which have been unfavorable. And the way you do that is you play the four mighty roles, which Neville talks about. So you're the producer, the writer, the director, and the actor in your movie, in your memories. So when you've got an unfavorable past memory, that's you being the producer going, okay, that's the area I'm going to work on in my life. And then as the writer, you want to rewrite that memory to how you would like it to be. So you literally rewrite the story. I actually write it down on paper just so I'm clear on what the narrative is. And I actually write out what the old story is, and then I write out the way I would like the story to be. Then, as the director, you go into your mind, into your imagination, and you play it out until you can see the new memory really clearly. And just like a director in a movie, you rehearse that scene over and over and over until that becomes the new scene, until that becomes the new memory. And what I have found with doing that in my life with some of my old memories, and particularly the more traumatic ones, when I go back and think of them, which is not often, but sometimes they pop up, I'll actually be like, wait, like it's like I'm a little bit confused because I can't figure out which is the real one. Like I'm still aware that there was another one, like the old one, the traumatic one, but I've also revised it to the new one. And that's actually where my mind goes first. And then I'm like, hang on a second, is that what happened? Hang on, wait. And I'm kind of like confused. And that's what you want to do. You want to confuse yourself. And then ideally is you want to be where if you think about it, you only think about that revised new memory. So it can take some time, and that's why rehearsal and playing it out over and over and over. And I've played out these ones, especially traumatic ones. You have to play them out over and over and over and over and over because they're so embedded, certainly for me. But then it becomes the new memory, and then literally you have a new screenshot of the new narrative in your mind, and that's what's key. And that will shift your state of consciousness, and that will shift you onto a new timeline because all creation is finished. Everything is happening now. All possibilities exist in the here and now. So if you're choosing another timeline, that's the timeline you're on. That's the one, that's the consciousness that you're aware of. That's what you're on. That's what's going to play out. And the old one is just, it's another possibility that your consciousness is not collapsed on. So you can just kind of forget that. So yeah, that's, I hope that one helps. Michelle, what do you do when you've rewritten a story or are in the process of rewriting and people in your world know the story and bring it up? Oh, that is such a great question. That is such a good question. I have had that experience myself. So remember, your reality is your feedback system. That's your feedback loop. So your reality is always showing you where you're at. So if you're working on a new story and other people in your reality, who are you pushed out, reflected back, remember, they are just your consciousness showing you that it's not quite embedded in consciousness. So when you have the new story in consciousness that's embedded, and that is the new story, so you've rewritten it, you've replayed it, you've rehearsed it, that's now the new memory, and you've really like, you kind of like, that's my new story that I'm telling. You will find that your reality will reflect that back, and people will not bring it up. They will not ask. It will not be reflected because your reality is your reflection of consciousness. So if people are bringing it up, it just means it's not yet embedded. So that just means that's a sign for you to keep working on it in consciousness and keep embedding the new story until people don't bring it up. So I'll give you an example of this. It's a little bit different, but one of the things that I have worked with my whole life, so some of you know I'm 6'1", 6'1.5". So in some, like, some may assume that that's really tall. I have had an assumption. I've had a lot of stories about my height my whole life. And for most of my life, until coming into these teachings, I thought that, how do I say this? It's like I I still didn't get the fact that people are reflecting back the consciousness that I have about my height. So I have a story that I'm tall or too tall or, like taller than everybody else. And I have a story about that. But I think that that's other people. Like it's weird if that makes sense. Like it's like a projection. So I hadn't yet caught up into the fact that actually my reality is the projection of my consciousness. So people are reflecting back the story that I have about my height, about myself. Now, when I started applying this to myself and to my height, people stopped mentioning my height. So once I started rewriting the story about my height within myself, people stopped mentioning it and they stopped bringing it up. And then I had the thought just recently, this just happened recently actually, where I went, wow, people, no one's mentioned that I'm tall lately. Because I used to have it every day. Every day people would say, oh my God, you're so tall. And I didn't realize that they're just reflecting back my consciousness. So I worked on it. And then I had the thought, wow, I haven't had anyone mention that I'm tall lately. Sure enough, straight away, somebody came out, my God, you're so tall. And then I just had a string of people coming up and going, oh my God, you're so tall, like whatever. And I just went, oh, and I just fell back into that old way. And then I realized, hang on a second, they're just reflecting me back. So I had to go back in again and I had to keep working this story. This is a story I've had for a very long time. So yes, people will reflect back until that new story is embedded. And when that new story is embedded, your reality will reflect it back and they won't bring it up anymore. So, just keep working with that story. I'm still working with my story. It just keeps going. It's a lifelong journey. All right. Who do we have? John just started reading Paul Coelho's The Alchemist, one of my favorite all time books. That is the most, I think I must have read that maybe a number of times. I don't know how many. It is one of my favorite books. And yes, you are the one. You have always been the one. And the treasure is always within you. I hope I haven't ruined the ending. Applebaum, revision. Hello. When revising, write out the new story. When revising, do you write out the new story? Do I have to rewrite that new story over? No, so just write it once. That's just what I do. Again, find out what works for you. So I write it out once on paper, just so I can get, because I'm a writer, and just so I can get the narrative clear as to the way I want it to play out. I'll write out the dialogue. I'll write out, and for me, that's why I love these teachings so much, and that's why I feel so connected to them, because I feel like they allow me to do what I'm meant to be doing as a writer. Like I'm creating stories, like I'm storytelling, and I'm writing out the dialogue, and I love writing dialogue. And so I write out the conversations that I'm having and that people are saying back to me. And then once I've got the story right, then I go into my imagination and I play that story that I've just written on paper in my imagination. And then I do all the rehearsal in my imagination. So I only write it out once and then I replay it over and over. And then once you're in your imagination, sometimes the story, like something will happen. I'll be, oh, that doesn't quite feel right. So I'll adjust it in my imagination and I will rehearse it until I have the scene playing exactly as I would like it. So I can alter it and adjust it accordingly, maybe bring in a new character if I need to. Like, it's your imagination, it's infinite. You can do whatever you want and do whatever you need to do to create that new story. Bring in new characters, delete old characters that you don't need anymore. Like, it's your story, it's your imagination. You can do whatever you want in there. That's why we want to be spending more time in there. It's so awesome. Do people have personalities or are they completely our assumption? Gosh, that's a great question. I haven't actually thought of that, and I'm not sure if Neville's actually talked about that in terms of, do we have personalities? Gosh, that's such a great question. I would say that certainly for me, I'm just trying to think of myself. There's a consciousness we come in with, I believe. That's my take, is that we've chosen the setup of our life, and we've chosen the circumstances, we've chosen the characters, we've chosen the stage to have the experience that we want to have, and we've set up the challenges so that we can overcome them to return to who we are, which is God, which is infinite, which is consciousness. So I believe that we've set situations and qualities up. I've come into this world and I was always able to write, so I always had talents, certain talents and abilities that just seemed to come very naturally. And so I know, like, where does that come from? Like, where do you all of a sudden, like, I was writing poetry from a really young age, and good poetry. Like, I could rhyme words together really well. Like Eminem. And I don't not like Eminem, but when I see him and listen to him, he had that talent from such an early age. He was able to do these amazing things, and you see some of these kids coming in today where they can, like, play the piano and do the like play the drums and just do all these crazy things from, like, such a young age. And I'm thinking, there's something else going on here. Like, they've been here before and they've come back around. And so I do think that some things we bring in, a lot of things we learn, and certainly there is a part of our personalities it is definitely learned from the world. And that's a lot of the stuff that we've set up so that we have to overcome and then return to who we are. Because as God, we are everything. We are all the qualities of every personality. We are everything. But in our particular form of expression, we've set things up so that we're having the experience that we have, so that we can own those parts that we've denied or we're resisting, and then bring them back in. And then we come back around and have another go and have a whole other setup of qualities and personalities and characteristics. So, great question. Um, I'd say it's a bit of both, to be honest. Yeah. Um, Sawan, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing people's names right. How can I manifest breaking the lease for a new apartment I already signed for, and to find a bigger apartment for the same price? They said I can't break the lease. I'm supposed to move in next week. Okay, well, anyone in your reality, they are a support character. You are the star of your movie. You are the star of your movie. We are all the stars of our own movie, and everybody in our reality is a support character that we have placed there so that we could have the experience of knowing or overcoming ourselves and returning to who we are. So if you've set up these characters, just the one thing that I would suggest that you do is put yourself back into the starring role of your movie. So nobody is above you, nobody is more powerful than you. They are all responding to the script that you're giving them. So if you want to get out of that apartment, then what you have to do is take your attention off what it is that you don't want. Put your attention on to the story, to the narrative that you do want, because you cannot serve two masters in your reality. So if you're paying attention to one story, you cannot be experiencing another story. You have to turn your attention towards the story that you want to experience. And that has to become the new dominant story. And then the characters in your movie have to respond. Your reality has to reflect that back if it's embedded. Now, if it's not, then you still have to work with it. So, like, you would have assumptions about leases. So, you would have an assumption that you can't break a lease. That's what they're reflecting back. So, you have to change your assumption about a lease. Well, I'm the star of my movie, I'm the creator of my reality. So I am going to hold the assumption that I can change the lease, because nothing outside of you is more powerful than you. So anything that is playing out is a reflection. So if it's in your reality, it's coming from consciousness. And if you want to change it, you have to change it in consciousness. So change the assumption that you have about your lease, change the assumption about the people that you sign the lease with, change the assumption about the apartment that you're worthy of having. You have to really work on your assumptions. What are the assumptions that you currently have? And then what are the assumptions that you want to have a new reality reflected back? So yes, you can absolutely change that. Nothing is ever set in stone. There is no fact or event that is ever set in stone. It's all coming from consciousness, and reality is reflecting it back. So anything that's in reality, you can change by going into consciousness first. So yes, absolutely. Okay. What have we got? What have we got? I'd love to hear more about purges, your perspective and thoughts on them. Purges, yes. So purges, my experience of purges is certainly in the beginning. If you're coming into these teachings and you're new and you are flipping your reality and your way of being upside down and all around, then yes, there's going to be a purge. In fact, whoa, I'm thinking back now to when I first came in. Oh my God. Oh, yeah, I had some serious purgings, and it feels like things get worse, especially when you're coming in. So when I rediscovered these teachings after about 20 years and really started applying them, things really went to shit in those first few months. And I had one of the most massive blow ups with my mom I've ever had. Like it was, I had this relationship, it wasn't even a relationship, it was the relationship or the situationship that brought me into these teachings was just this like, it was like I just had this sort of blow up there as well. I had this blow up with my mum. It just felt like I wasn't sleeping. I was waking up in the middle of the night. It was really awful and uncomfortable. And part of you wants to go, this is all shit. This is all crap. This is not worth it. But I also knew that I'd got to a point in my life where I was like, there's no other there's no really other choice for me. Like it's either go back to the old way of being or stick with this new way of being, which I know, even though it feels really awful in this moment, I know I could feel the truth in these teachings. I could feel it. I knew that this was like, I needed to stick with it. And that's just, that's the only thing you can do to get through those purges is to just somehow be compassionate with yourself, be gentle with yourself, just remind yourself that this is just a purge. This is just the old story coming up. There's an old story that's been there for a really long time in consciousness. It's just like consciousness it's like when the body is sick, it's sick, it gets the shit out. It's when consciousness has had a shitty old story, it comes out in a purge and it feels really icky and not nice. And when I'm changing an old story, even now, even though I've been with these teachings for quite some time now and I've been working with them every day and things are really amazing more than ever. If an old story comes up that I need to become aware of to change, there'll be a little purge with that, but it's nowhere near as what it was when I first came in. So the purges get a little bit like less than, and a little bit less awful. But they're, like last night, there was something that came up yesterday. I didn't sleep much last night at all because it was, but now I understand what's going on. So it's not as like awful. And I'm just like, in fact, it's a good thing because I'm like, awesome. This is my consciousness. Like, this is it coming out and getting rid of it because this is an old story, no longer serving me. I'm no longer playing this out. I'm writing a new story. So, yeah, just be really gentle with yourself. They still come up. Absolutely. This is not the law of assumption in these teachings. This is not like making everything perfect and everything's going to be amazing from here on. Things get 100% better. Yes, absolutely. Life takes on a whole new meaning and dynamic, and like life becomes an adventure. Life becomes awesome in a whole new way. And there are definitely days where it's hard and it's difficult, but everything feels more manageable. Everything feels more like I feel certainly more in tune with reality now. I'm not fighting against it because I know that it's just a feedback system. Reality is just a reflection of my consciousness. So if it's not going to plan, I at least know that it's because there's things going on in me that need a little bit of attention and work. So yeah, it's just having a different relationship with those purges and maybe even naming them to, I don't know, um, purges is fine. I don't have too much of a negative relationship with that. But yeah, if it doesn't have to be a negative thing. It's actually a good thing. It's like if I have a cold now, I haven't had one for ages. Touch wood. Oh, a little bit suspicious, but if I get sick, I'm like, that's just the body getting rid of something, or that's just something my body wanting to tell me something, and it's speaking to me in a language that it's not English, obviously. It's speaking through the physical language, and that's a language I need to understand. And I just have a different relationship with those less than pleasant moments now, I guess, because I know that it's all coming from me. Um, how to remove a person from my reality that is preventing my SP to come back, a mother-in-law. How to remove a person from my reality that is preventing my SP to come back, a mother-in-law. So I've done a couple of videos on how to remove someone from your reality. I think there's one coming in the next day or so around, because I gave a video on how to delete someone from your reality, and then there was a bit of confusion still. So I've done another video where I give an actual 5-step on how I have successfully removed many people from my reality. There is nothing wrong with removing anyone from your reality. You are the star of your movie, and everyone in your movie is showing up as a support character in your movie that you have cast there, by the way, to show you a part of yourself that you're not yet owning within yourself if they're unfavorable. So you can remove anyone. You don't have to have every character in your movie. However, the question you want to ask yourself is first, but you cannot get rid of anything because you cannot get rid of yourself. You are everything. You are God. You are everything. There's no way you can get rid of anyone because you are like they're just a reflection. So you want to first understand what is this person showing up in you that you're not owning in yourself. So what are the qualities that you see in them? And what are you not owning in yourself? So if this person is blocking your special person from coming back, I would be asking you the question, why are you blocking your specific person from coming back by putting this character in the way? So there's a reason that you've done that, and we're very crafty. We're very brilliant in the way we do, and we don't often understand what the hell we're doing with ourselves. That's why it's such a, fascinating teachings, because it's like learning about ourselves all the way. So why are you blocking your specific person from coming back in? What are the qualities in this person that you don't like that you're not acknowledging in yourself? Then once you've figured out why this person is showing up in your reality, then you can remove them. Or you won't even have to because they just dissolve. There's no reason for them to show up in your reality anymore. Is it okay? I can't see my SP's face while visualizing. Like it at all? Yeah, absolutely. Everything's okay. If you want to see them, I'm not sure if you want to see them or if you don't want to see them, but if you can't see them, just your imagination is. I find it interesting when I'm coaching with people, and if I'm inviting them to write a new story, sometimes what can happen is their imagination shuts down, and they're like, "I can't see it. I can't do it. I can't do what you're asking." And I'm like, "Great, cool. It means there's an old story from the past that we just need to clear." So that we can have access to our imagination. So sometimes things get in the way and we have to go back and we have to revise a situation. So there may be a reason why your SP's face isn't showing up in your imagination. And so you might want to ask yourself, why am I not wanting to see my SP's face? Like, is there an unfavorable situation that happened in the past that I'm not seeing, I don't want to see? What'll happen is there will be a memory that'll probably come up. You revise the memory really quickly and then go back and see if you can go and visualize. So usually if we can't access a part of our imagination, it's because there's something from the past that's blocking us an unfavorable story. We just have to revise it. Doesn't have to take a long time. You just go back, revise the story, get the new story running, and then come back. That's all it is. So it can be really simple and very quick. When do you draw the line between trying to change yourself and change other people versus cutting ties with someone? Great question. Oh my God. Great questions, everyone. Thank you. These are all questions that I've had experiences with as well. I have had, so a lot of the law of assumption coaches here, I've listened to so many good people on, by the way, amazing. Um, and to be completely honest, I have not had the experience of recreating a specific person. I know other coaches have, and I just haven't. Because in my what feels good for me, it's all about finding what feels good for you. That's the key with this. Find out what works for you. So I have the way I kind of approach these teachings is that my reality will reflect back my consciousness. So if I work in consciousness, if I do all the work in consciousness, my reality has to reflect that back. Like it has to. That's the deal. That's the game. So when it comes to people, and in particular specific people that I've been in relationship with, I have gone, if I just focus on the new story within my consciousness, then that has to be reflected back either in them or in another person. I'm actually not too concerned who it is, because it's like if I'm my consciousness being reflected back, that's awesome. Like it doesn't matter who it is. Does that make sense? Like, so I haven't really stuck with somebody to recreate them. I've actually just gone in and created the new story and then they've dissolved. So I don't know if that sort of and they've disappeared. Like the people that I've been in relationship with, they're like the two people that I've been in relationship since working with these teachings have completely dissolved, because I've gone, oh wow, that's a really old story that they've reflected back. I've gone in and reworked the story and then they just disappear. It's bizarre, not in a bad way. Like it's not a bad way at all. It's just like, and I'm like, great. Like it just means that old story is not running anymore, and I can actually be open to experiencing something new and something I've never had before. So that's kind of the approach that I take. I don't tend to focus on people. I focus on myself, I focus on consciousness, and then it gets reflected back. And it either gets reflected back in the same person or the new person. Doesn't really matter as long as you're getting the story that you want. That's the game. That's the way I approach it. How do you feel when you were shifting your self concept? When I first started this, probably over a year ago now, I was very much focused on, kind of leads into that other question. I was really focused on that other person. So I was using these teachings to try and get an outcome out of them. And I was like, he's calling me, he's texting me, like I am like, I am receiving a call, I'm receiving, like it was, I was really like desperate for getting a result in my reality. And it wasn't happening, and it was causing a lot of frustration and a lot of angst. And I was just like, this is not like, kind of like, I was just like, fuck this. I'm not focusing on that person anymore. I'm going to go all on me. And once I did that, the frustration melted away, the angst melted away. It was kind of like I was finally coming back. That's why I call this channel You Are the One, because it's you. You are the one that you've been waiting for. You are the one you've been looking for. I was the one that I was waiting for to stop putting all of my attention on everybody else, trying to get attention from everybody else. It was like, hang on a second. What if I just stopped and gave myself attention? What if I stopped and gave myself love? What if I stopped and just like turned all of that attention that I was trying to get from everybody else and I put it onto myself, and I just came into being with me? That's when everything changed for me. That's when things just took on a whole nother, like, just they kind of elevated to another level. I really started validating myself, giving myself the attention, putting all of the energy into me. And I think this whole idea of narcissism and self-indulgent is just a way for people to stay out of doing the work on themselves, because it's like we've been so conditioned to put our conscious awareness onto reality. And it's like, actually, there's nothing narcissistic or self-indulgent about giving yourself what it is that you want reality to give you. In fact, it's more narcissistic or self-indulgent to want everyone else to give you what you're not willing to give yourself. So when you actually give yourself the time and attention that you're wanting from everybody else, that's when you feel nourished. That's when you feel um, like fulfilled and loved. And then when you feel filled within yourself, then you can like, you're generous, then you have so much more to give. And that's when I started doing these videos. I had so much energy, I had so much that I wanted to share. I was just like, I gotta make a video, I gotta start like talking about stuff. And that's when I felt like I came out into the world, once I had got my self concept right. I probably worked on it hardcore for about, like, and I work on it every day. Every day I get up, I look in the mirror, I tell the new story. I have a poem that I say to myself every morning and night, and that just sets up my day and sets me up for my sleep. And then I work on the self concept throughout the day, just like casually. I just kind of remind myself that I'm amazing, I'm beautiful, I'm loved, I'm wanted, I'm worthy, I'm chosen, I'm valued, I'm important, I'm special. Like, just, I really have a few that I didn't believe in the past and that I now have a new story around, and I just like, it's just a constant thing, and I just feel so much better for it. So yeah, I feel amazing. Self-concept's awesome. It's the foundation for everything. You really want to be working on self-concept. Every day is your birthday. Hi. How do you fix money issues and become financially secure? I've done a video on that, manifesting abundance. That's a work in progress. For me, I have definitely definitely brought in abundance using these teachings. I share that in the video manifesting abundance, which is somewhere on my playlist, where I just brought in big amounts of money. Like, I just literally was like, I'm just going to bring in this amount, and then bang, it just does. I haven't had too much of a story around money, so it's been an area that has been pretty easy for me. Not easy. I've definitely had my thing with it, but I don't have the story that, let's say, my sort of Achilles heel. I don't even want to say that, but the area of work for me is relationships. Money is, I've been able to manifest pretty easily, but I certainly, these teachings have helped. The key with manifesting abundance is you have to have it first. You cannot be needing money. So I would suggest, to feel financially secure, you want to first of all input into your self concept, I am safe, I am secure. So let that be your foundation. And then be very grateful for all the money you have in your life right now. So you have to have money to have more money. So if you can't be coming from a place of lack. So if you're in having money issues, be very aware and grateful for every single cent that you have in your reality right now. So I am thankful for the money that I have to pay for this coffee. I'm thankful for the money I have to pay for this rent. I am grateful for the money that I have in my wallet. Like, really become aware of the money that you have in your reality right now. Keep turning your attention towards that and focus on that, because when you are more focused on abundance, you will bring more of it in. But you have to turn your attention towards abundance first. You cannot get money coming from a place of lack. If you're focused on lack, you're going to get more of lack. So if you're wanting income, be very grateful for all the income that you've had. Think of all the income that you've had. Be very, like, go back into your imagination and be very thankful for all of the income that you've ever earned. Like, really turn your attention towards what it is that you want to experience, and you will. I can speak from experience on that one. Um, Hi Lisa, I've been listening to his teachings for over a year after several years learning about law of attraction, which confused me, but Neville makes more sense. Yes, I 100% agree. Still haven't manifested dollars or freedom. All else is okay. That's cool. You know, reality is not an instant. This is not like an instant thing. So certainly sometimes I see with this, like, people want instant results. Like, they change the story in their imagination about what it is that they want, and they do a great job with that. And then they're like, all right, like, where is it? And it's like, whoa, give reality time to catch up. Like, there is a lag time. Your reality, remember, it's a reflection. And if you've had an old story running for a while, there's going to be a little bit of a time lag before reality reflects it back in a back or reflects your work back to you. So just, give it a bit of time, stay with it. Neville talks about the point of conception to the point of conviction. That's where you want to do the work. So from the point of conception is when you've realized that that's something that you want, to the point of conviction, where the point where you realize you already have it. It's done, it's taken care of, you have it in consciousness, and now you just get on with your life and you wait for reality to catch up, and you know it's done. Now, if you don't know it's yet done, there's still a little work to do. So the work that you do is between the point of conception and conviction, and that's where you get to use all the techniques of law of assumption. So affirmations, sats, what else? Inner conversations, visualizations, like anything that works for you, you do that in that little area between conception and conviction. And once you've got it in consciousness where you know that that's done and that's your new reality and there's nothing else you need to do, bang, get on with your life. Thank you so much. Awesome. And if you think about it, you go, yeah, it's done. It's done. Just keep going. Like, remember, Neville talks about the pregnancy period. So when you're pregnant, there's nothing more you can do to get pregnant. You're pregnant. But there is a 9-month period for that pregnancy to, like, for that baby to grow. There is a gestation period for everything, and that is the same in reality. These are great questions. Thanks so much, everyone. What else do we have? Charlie, hello. Oh, Karen, love you too. Thank you. Why do some people show up different ways that contradict each other? For example, one person treats you with love and another person treats you with the opposite. I thought we couldn't serve two masters. Sure, absolutely. Remember, we have assumptions about everyone and everything. So who are the people that are showing up as one way, and who are the people that are showing up as the other way? Like, what are the assumptions that you're holding about them? And it's a bit hard to kind of like, it's I'm not sure exactly, because it might be something more specific in that particular situation. But certainly for me, I have certain people that I have a more favorable relationship with, and there are some people that I have a less favorable relationship with. And if I come back to myself and I'm like, what are the assumptions I'm holding about these people that I'm having these unfavorable? And I can always find an assumption that I'm holding about that person. And then that's me. That everything is a mirror. Everything is a reflection. There is no way that you can get away from yourself in your reality. So if something's showing up in your reality, it's because there's something in you. And certainly our role as, humans is bringing the God to the physical form. So we've come in with God coming in as human form, and the role of awakening is to awaken as God in human form. And that is a process that can take many, many lifetimes. We come back and we go over and over and over and over and over, and we play it out over and over and over until we have fully awakened to our true nature. And, we're all on that awakening path. We're all at different stages of that. And I think, I'm not sure, because I'm not fully awakened, so I don't know what the game is, but I'm assuming that when you have fully awakened, you are just all love, all, like, everyone in your reality, like the spiritual masters. There's a lot of them on this planet, where they are just all love. And I'm guessing that that's the game. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll all find out. We're all on it. Um, how can I manifest getting rid of my dark circles? Great question. You can change absolutely anything. Remember, your physical body is an expression of consciousness. So if you have dark circles, I would first question what's going on in consciousness, what's the assumption that you're holding about yourself, or about the aging process, or about the body, or about the physical. So what are the assumptions you're holding about yourself and your physicality? Check in with that. Revise any negative assumptions that you might be having. Like, where did you learn about dark circles? How did that, like, what, has there been a story there? Has there been a story in consciousness within your family of dark circles? Is there, like, what are the assumptions that you're holding about dark circles? And then turn your attention to what it is that you want to experience. So know that you are the star of your movie, and that you can create anything in your reality will be reflected back, including in your physical body. But you have to be there first in consciousness. So you have to actually take your attention off the dark circles and to what it is that you want to experience, which is freshness, clarity, vibrance, light, whatever it is. I tend to find light. Focusing on light is a really powerful way when I'm working with my body. Because it's vibrancy, it's light, and that is more of who we are. So when we're moving towards more of who we are, it's going to be an easier process in that. Like, certainly from my experience, that's what I've found. How long have we got? Okay, I might do one more. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm not sorry if I haven't seen all your questions. Um, Hi, Barbie. You're welcome. What else? Is that it? Karen, I have felt all love when I'm in a good state, like you have described, and I know what I want is mine. Then I get kicked out of it and have trouble going back to that state. How do we deal with that? Yeah, that's awesome. So if you're really working with something that you want to bring into your reality, and then reality, like, slaps you around and kicks you, we all have those experiences. That is part of the process. That is part of the awakening process. Your reality is helping you. And that's one of the things that I've come into really acknowledging, is that my reality is me. And I want to be best friends with myself. I want to love myself. And all of my creations, including the unfavorable ones, they're like your children. Like, they're my creations, and I want to love them as best I can, even the most unfavorable ones. And so when reality is slapping me around, it can be a little bit hard in that moment, but I've become pretty good at just really being gentle with myself and loving and compassionate. And if I have to take myself to bed for a few hours and put myself under the covers, like, I will do it. I will do whatever I need to do just to be with myself, and to keep myself feeling safe and secure and calm and loved, and all of those beautiful things. And so, yeah, reality will kick you around, and you just have to work with it. So there's a reason why. It just means that, yep, you've got that new story. There's just a little bit of the old story that needed to come up. And so what is it showing you? What did you need to see? And bring it in. Bring everything in. Don't push anything away, because you cannot get rid of anything. You are God, you are everything. And reality is showing you what you want to bring into awareness. So if something's unfavorable, bring it in. What is it showing you that you're not wanting to see? What is it showing you that you're not wanting to experience? And then, like, be with it. Like, be in relationship with your reality. Own it and acknowledge it. Anything you try and push away and get rid of is just going to come back. If it's not in, like, let's say it's a person and you're pushing somebody away and you're, like, wanting to get rid of them, they will show up in somebody else. Until you get the reason why that thing or that person is showing up in your reality, it is you. It is your consciousness trying to get your attention and saying, hey, this is part of the awakening process. It's not always easy. I get it. I really do get that. But yeah, bring it in. Really come into relationship with yourself, and it will dissolve. Once you acknowledge it and see it, then you can either, like, remove it really easily, or it'll dissolve on its own. It's an awesome process. Hi, Sharon, you made it. Sharon, you made it. So glad I made it. Yes, love you. Thank you so much. And with regards to focusing on light, I love the song "I Am Light." Yes, that is an awesome song. I think you can just find it on Spotify or one of the download. It's called I'm Light." I Am Light. I think I'm pretty sure. Yes. All right. And then Sarah, should I make my affirmations about SP based on comments they make to create change and get back together? I'm big on self-concept. When I see questions like about specific people, and I'm coming from my perspective always, because I place so much focus on my specific person in the past, and it wasn't until I made it about myself that I really started to experience amazing results. So I'll give you an example. So for my last relationship, one of the things that I wanted to hear was I wanted to feel chosen. I'd never felt chosen before. Like I'd never felt like I ever in any of my relationships was chosen. So I really wanted to experience that. So I started to work on my self concept. So I didn't make it about them. I made it about myself. I am choosing myself. I am chosen and I am choosing myself and I am choosing who chooses me. So I just kind of came up with all these different affirmations. It was all about choosing myself and feeling chosen. And I just kept that as my new story and my new self concept. And then when I met up with this guy that I was involved with about 20 years ago, and we reconnected. This is a few months ago. Well, not a few months ago. This is late last year. And we reconnected, and it was all amazing, and it was incredible for a minute. And he was reflecting back all of the things that I had been saying to myself about my self concept, and he actually said, "I choose you." I'm like, "Whoa!" No one had ever said that to me before. So I, it was like I. It's not like I got him to say those things because I was saying those things to myself, and he was reflecting it back. So that's the way I would say to do work with your specific person is whatever you're wanting from your specific person, give it to yourself first. Say it to yourself first. I am choosing myself. I am loving myself. I am paying attention to myself. I want you. I want to be with you. Like say it to yourself. I want to be with you. Like I would make everything about me, and then reality has to reflect it back, and they'll reflect it back in your specific person or somebody else. And it doesn't really matter because if you're having what you want, then you're going to be getting what you want and it's going to be an amazing experience. So, yeah, I would focus on you. All right, beautiful people. I think it might be time for me to go and get my coffee for the morning. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I have very much. I love these. Gosh, that's almost an hour. Holy moly! That flew by. That's so awesome. I thank you so much for being here, and just thank you so much for being with me on this journey. We're all in this together. I'm working on this stuff in my own life, as you know. I'm doing this every day. I am very much a work in progress, and I definitely do not have all the answers. But I do love sharing my experience with you. And I am hoping that that helps your experience in your movie because we are all writing our own movies here. We are all the stars of our own movie and we are all in the process of awakening to who we are. So thank you for being on this journey. Thank you for doing the work. And thank you for being in my movie. And thank you for allowing me to be in your movie because this is so fun and amazing. And I'm just, yeah, I'm very, very grateful. So thank you all very, very much. And yeah, just this is awesome. I'm going to be doing many more of these. And yeah, thank you. Thank you. And thank you for all the beautiful comments. I have never experienced, like online, I have never experienced this kind of love and acceptance and just, just it is, I don't know. I'm just very grateful. And so thank you all very much for being here. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful night. As I said, the videos that I've got coming, they were filmed prior to the flood. So I haven't actually talked about that yet in the videos. And I've got so much that I want to share about that. So I will in the coming weeks. I record my videos and then upload them. So they're always like a week or two in advance. So they are coming and lots more exciting things coming. So yeah, thank you very much for being here. And just wishing you a beautiful day and a night. Okay, lots of love. Bye.